There is another dimension, beyond that which is knowledge of man. It is a dimension as vast as space, and as limitless as infinity. It is a blackness between the sun and the moon, between science and superstition, and it lies between all of man's fears and the summit of his ability. This is the space of imagination. It is an area which we call the Sci-fi Zone. The place is an island. The year is 1995, and the journey into the shadows we're about to discuss could be our journey. Welcome everyone to a new exciting series on the Bad Movie Night channel. We're here to discuss science fiction. Tonight we will look at the extraterrestrial film, Xtro 3. It's directed by Bromley Davenport. This is part of a film series, which is the third installment in the franchise. And in classic Bad Movie Night fashion, I did not watch 1 or 2. So, let's get into this. The basic plot is that Lieutenant Martin Kern is tasked with leading a questionable team of Marines to this isolated island where they need to put in a fuel depot. Their mission is to access the situation and remove possibly armed devices. But little do they know what is in store for them on this island. I'll give you a hint. Aliens. I guess it's not really much of a hint. I'm just telling you what it is. Aliens. So this team of Marines is clearly at the bottom of the class type of material here, because as the movie progresses, you learn that it's actually part of the plot and scheme. There was also a few times we were forced to watch some comedy-like newsreels.
He's been thoroughly punished, we can assure you all.
Which all by all accounts are very much over the top and even out of place considering some of the other tones in this movie, which I would say are pretty serious. There's even like these weird situations where the Lieutenant does like this voiceover. It's supposed to be like in his head, but it's so weird and jarring because it happens sometimes and then it'll go 15-20 minutes in the movie and then randomly pops back in again. It's very weird. As the movie progresses, the Marines find some like hidden reels of film footage from like a Roswell experiment, which we learn that the aliens were captured and gruesomely held to these torturous devices, which by the way was pretty gruesome in these sequences. Only to be broke by the comedy elements of the alien breaking out of the cage, much like a cartoon character, bars opening to his escape. That's the thing about this movie, the tones shift so drastically. There's moments of comedy that are funny and I feel like are intentional, moments where it's not, and then for the most part the rest of the movie is very serious. So that's like the biggest issue with this, is the tones not really aligning properly. We do eventually learn that Captain Fetterman is the real villain here. He knows about the extraterrestrial that is being kept here, and he's basically laid in to, do everybody in when the mission's completed. They do find this concrete block that is accidentally blown open, and the alien is able to escape because of this. I don't know how they figured out concrete was the way they encapsulate this alien, but that was what happened apparently back in the day. One of the more comedic roles goes to a homeless man who lives on the island, who pops up occasionally as like a comedy relief, and his character is kind of essential to the plot point because he has like a secret base that the Marines eventually end up hiding in at night from the alien. So that brings me to the alien. The best part of the movie is the alien. This guy looks amazing. He has some strange skills. For one, he can turn invisible and bend light like the Predator. He also seems to produce some kind of acid, which he occasionally vomits on people, which was pretty badass because their face kind of melts off. The other thing he does, which is kind of surprising, is he has these tongue moves where he can shoot his tongue out and lasso it around somebody, which he uses to much great effect in this movie. Sometimes you get some kind of like silly like graphic overlay, and other times it's pretty legit. There is truly a number of great moments with the special effects and gore. I mean, that's where this movie really shines. There are moments that are truly grotesque, and the alien, for the most part, looks really good. He looks the part. And they do a good job at using him to limited effect, and then as the movie progresses, they just kind of say fuck it and show it as much as possible, to the point where it is kind of absurd. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun the way they portrayed the alien. There's this whole thing with cobwebs on the island, giant cobwebs, and it's not very clear if the alien is part of the intention of building these cobwebs, or if like giant spiders, or it's just part of the atmosphere, but there's cobwebs, and somehow people keep walking into them and getting stuck. I don't really understand it, because you see the cobwebs, but yet they keep getting stuck in it somehow. And this happens a number of times. There's a scene where the alien is like torturing this guy with this weird little tool, which he takes pieces of his brain out, which was pretty cool. And then other times you just have people just stumbling into it and getting trapped. It's very silly. It's very, very B-movie, very like 1950s, and maybe that's the point. Same with like the newsreel footage, we're doing like throwbacks to 50 movies, and just like the absurdity of it all. So, overall, great movie. Great alien action. I don't know if it gets much better than this in like the B-movie genre. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Now the question is, would I watch it alone? Yeah, I probably would. It had enough value, it held enough entertainment for me that I would probably watch it alone, and I would recommend it. Would I watch it in a group? Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a great movie that your friends can watch and rip on and have a good time. It was entertaining. I highly recommend it. So, Xtro 3. Where can you find it? Currently on Tubi, so go check it out. Well, that about wraps it up. Yeah. So thanks for joining us on our first episode of the Sci-Fi Zone. I hope you come back. I hope to watch a lot more movies. If you have anything you recommend that's terrible sci-fi, drop it in below. Maybe we'll check it out. We're going to be doing this as a new part of the Bad Movie Night YouTube channel. I'm hoping to watch a lot of great sci-fi films. Up there in the vastness of space, in a void that we call the sky, up there is a foe known as isolation. It sits there in the stars lost, waiting with the patience of time, forever waiting in the Sci-Fi Zone.